Good morning, students. Today I have explained subject Computer Studies, Standard 11th, Chapter number 11th, Retrieving Data Using Queries, Part 2. Today's first topic is a creation of query using design view. So let us now discuss uses of design view to create a query. While creating a query to list the customer addresses, we mentioned that it is not possible to get the details from the city, state, and country table. This is due to the limitation of the wizard, as it allows us to query on a single table only. So we will now rewrite the same query using design view. So click on the queries icon in the datasheet window. Next, double click on the create query in design view option in task 10, and next we will see add table or query dialog box. So there is a add query or a table dialog box. So you can select the table, customer table, city table, state table, and country table. So click to add button. And similar, select the city table, state table, and country tables. You will now find 4 tables in table pane. So next step is a relationship which we have earlier defined between the tables. So click on the close button if you want to add some more tables. You can open the add table or a query dialog box again by clicking on add tables or a query buttons. So double click on customer tables, first name, customer last name, address line 1, address line 2, fill from the customer table. And similarly select city field from city table, state name field from the state table, pin code field from the city table, and country name field from country table. The field name along with their respective tables name will be displayed in grid. So that is a selection of fields. Observe that we are also able to see some record row heading like alias, sort, visible, functions, correlations, and or you might have to notice that by default visible options for each field is set to true. It indicates that all select fields will be displayed in the output. Ls can be used for displaying meaningful names for the fields. For example, in place of consumer first name, we would prefer to use name of customers as column title in the query results. Type name of the customer in the text box visible after the row heading alias under the customer first name columns. So to display customer records in alphabetical order of his and her names, select ascending from drop down box visible after the row heading sort under the customer first name column. Similarly select ascending in the sort option under the customer last name columns. So click on the run query button on the query design toolbar. So query result similar to the one shown in the figure. To save a query for later use, select the save button, options, and file menu. Alternately click on the close button and base will display a save a dialog box. Type desired name the example customer address and click and then OK button. So that is a output, that is a query output. Next is a editing a query. So after creating a query, one may like to change a query. For example, in the query created above, we would like to add surname as an alias in customer last name column. To make this change, perform the following step. Click on query icon and then right click on the query customer addresses. From the pop-up menu, choose edit option. This will display the query in design view. Type surname in the text box visible after row heading alias under the customer last name column and then run query. So that is a editing a query. Next is a applying criteria. So we have seen that we can write a query which displays selected fields of a table. Now suppose instead of viewing all records, we wish to view the details of customers residing in the city of Ahmedabad. This means we want base to display a subset of a selected records. To do this, we can specify a criteria that limits the records to only those where the city field contains Ahmedabad as a value. So that is a applying criteria. Next is a using single field. So right click on the customer addresses query and then click edit option to open the query in design view. In the criteria cell of the city field type Ahmedabad as in the figure. So that text must be enclosed within a quotations delimiters. That must be enclosed in the hash sign delimiters. While the number literals do not need any delimiters. If we miss to put delimiters, base will not report any error. Instead, will apply delimiters on its own and save the run the query, and you will find the desired result. So that is a setting criteria. Next is a operators used in base. So first is a operator and second is a symbol. Comparison equal to, greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to, and not equal to. Logical and or and not. Special like is, between and in. So that is a operators used in base. Comparison operator, logical operator, and special operator. So next is a the using operators in query. So first, suppose we want to display the list of employee who joined after 1st January 2011. Then create a new query in design view at the employee table. Then select fields first name, last name, and joining date. Type greater than hash sign 01/06/2011 hash sign over and double unique quotation over. So in the joining date field, criteria cells, and deselect the checkbox display in the visible cell under the joining date column. Now save and run the query. The output will be similar to the one shown in the figure. So that is a joining date field is not display. So applying a criteria in date field. So next, similar to display employee, employees who joined between 1st June 2005 and 1st November 2012, the criteria in the joining date field can be set as greater than or equal to #1622005 #, and less than or equal to #11-1 2012. So base also offers between operators to specify the same conditions. So as in shown figure. So that is a output of a using the between operators. Next query is a using multiple criteria of on a single field. So now suppose that we want to send discount coupon to customers who live in the city of Ahmedabad and Patan. So we need a list of customers residing either in the city of Ahmedabad or Patan. Then create a new query in design view. Add the customer, city and state tables. Then select customer first name, customer last name, address line 1, address line 2, city, state name and cardholder fields from the table as shown in the figure. Type the criteria as can be seen in the city field. Now save and run the query. The output will be similar to the one shown in the figure. So that is a output using multiple criteria on a single field. Next is a using criteria on multiple fields. So using multiple fields. So now suppose we want to send discount coupon only to cardholder of a modern electronic stores residing in Ahmedabad or Patan. For solving this problem, we need to use the AND operator, which specifies that city should be either Ahmedabad or a Patan, and cardholder fields should not be empty. Here, we need to apply OR criteria within field and criteria between field. Type the criteria as shown in figure. Here the value null, that means no check mark in cardholder field, signify that field is empty. So that is the output of a using criteria on multiple fields. So now if you want to view the list of customers who can belong to either Ahmedabad or Patan or as membership card, then type IN, that means in brackets Ahmedabad comma Patan in the criteria row of the city column. Also type is not empty in the OR row of the cardholder column. So see in the figure. Next is a applying OR criteria in multiple fields. Now the difference between previous query and this query, in the first case we wrote both the expressions in same row while applying the AND condition between two fields, while in this query the OR condition between two fields is written in separate rows. Observe that in the result set as shown in figure, a new record of a customer from Mehsana is also listed as the customer is also a membership card holder. So that is a applying or a criteria in multi-field fields. Next query is using wildcard. So suppose we want to see the list of products with their model name starting with character set HP. Then create a new query using table product. Select field P code, model name, selling price, and OS support. Set the characterization as shown in figure. So that is a output of a use of a wildcard like HP and then star. So the asterisk, that means star symbol used in expression in characterization cell of model name field in the figure is known as a wildcard characters. A wildcard characters is a symbol that represent any characters or a combinations of characters. Thus HP star represents a word whose first two alphabets are HP, followed by any group of characters. Similarly, the characterizations like star HP will display products with name ending with alphabet HP, and like HP star HP, that means we will display products with names starting and ending with alphabet HP. Note that you must include the like operator with the wildcard characters. So that is a use wildcard characters. Operators is a like and then SP, that is a product name, and then star. Next topic is a performing a calculations. Calculations within a query in base can be performed using one of the following ways. First is a custom calculation and second is a predefined calculations. So first, custom calculations. It includes performing numeric, date and text calculations on each record using data from one or more fields. Calculations include operations like add, multiply, subtract or divide the value in two different fields. To perform custom calculations, we need to add an extra field known as a calculate fields. So let us discuss it with an example. Look at the order details table. If we want to know total amount pertaining to each product purchased by a customer, we can calculate the value of amount is equal to quantity multiplied by sales price. The new fields that stores information about amount is known as a calculate field. So this figure is using a calculate fields. So create a new query using design view and then select the order details table from a table or a query dialog box. Double click on the order ID field to include it in the design grid and type quantity into sales price in the field row of the second column in the query design grid. You may not be able to see the entire entry because the field row is not large enough. Right click in the field row in the second column in the design grid and then select column width from the pop-up menu. Display as shown in figure would be display specified 4.20 centimeters as width to make text in the field row visible. So in the alias row under the second column type amount. So see in the figure. Next is a predefined calculations. That means summarizing the data. We have seen how to perform calculations on fields. Many times we need to perform calculations on group of records rather than on fields. For example, finding the total numbers of products or computing average amount spent by each customer. So we need to perform summary calculations. Base provides some predefined calculations to compute sum, average, count, minimum, maximum, standard deviations or a variance on group of records. Thus calculations differ from calculate field as they are applied on multiple records within a table resulting in a single value. Let us design a query for finding total number of customers of modern electronic stores by performing the following steps. Uh, First, click on query icon and select create query in design view. Next, select the customer table from a table or a query dialog box. And then next, double click on the C code fields. Type total customers in alias row. Next, in a row with a label function in query design grid, open the drop down menu. Next, select the count function from the list of aggregate functions as shown in figure. Run the query and you will get the total number of customers of modern electronic stores. So remember that the result of a calculations in a field are only for displaying purpose. These results are not actually stored in the underlying table. Instead, base performs the calculations each time to run the query. Thus, a result generated from such query is always based on the most current data available in the database. So that is using aggregate functions. Next is a grouping the data query. Grouping the data. So take the pen and paper. Now start thinking how it is possible identify the cities of customers. It may be Ahmedabad, Mehsana or Patan, etc. Make a group of customers in Ahmedabad, customers in a Patan, and similarly for all cities. Now apply total on each group and you will get the result which your manager requires. You might think that is really complex. Instead, it is very easy when you do it with base. Perform the following steps. First, open a new query in design view. Add the customer table and the city table from a table or a query dialog box. Double click on the city field from the city table. Similarly, select the C code field from the customer table. In the function row of the city field, select group by as in figure. In the function row of C code field, select count and run the query and desired result will be displayed. So that is a Ahmedabad 3 Mesana 1 and pattern 1. So that is a grouping the data. Next query is a parameters query. So parameters query are designed to accept value from the users at a runtime. Till now, the queries that we created use fixed credentials. The credentials once defined will not be changed for every execution of the query. The output of the query may though vary depending on the current data in the table. Generally, when we run a parameters query, it will be display a dialog box asking the use to enter the value of the parameters. Thus value are then assigned as credentials value for retrieving the data. So that is a parameters query. So let us discuss. First open new query in the design view and then add the product and product categories table and then double click on star visible in the product table. It will add all the fields of the product table in the query. Next double click on the category name field from the category table. Next type laptop in criteria cell of the category name field. Next save the query with the name details of laptops. So now suppose you are asked to retrieve the details of smartphones. You need to design a new query with smartphones as condition in the category name field and save it as details so smartphones. What if you are asked the same questions for all the product categories? You need multiple queries. Base has one more interesting and very useful features to help us in the type of situations. We can create a parameter query. So to create a parameters query, the design of the query will be remaining same, but we need to enter the parameters rather than specifying the actual value in the criteria cell. When we run the query, base will display a dialog box that will prompt us to enter the value of the parameter specified. Perform the following steps to create a parameter query for listing out the different product categories. So open a new query in design view, add the product and product categories tables. Double click on P code from the product tables. Next double click on the category name field from the category table. Next type category name in the criteria cell of the category name. The query will look as shown in figure. So note the criteria parameters must be preceded by a colon symbol with starting. Click on the run button to view query result. Base will be displayed dialog box as shown in figure. So type the laptop in the text box under the label value and click OK button. You will get the list of laptops. So that is a parameters queries and parameters value. So that is a parameters query. Next is a SQL query. That means structured query language. By now we have seen that there is always more than one way to do the same task in base. For example, create table in design view and use wizard to create table. Both options allow us to create table of a database. The difference is that the wizard makes the task easier while design view gives more flexibility. We will we still have a third options for creating a table, the SQL command, which give us the most flexibility and control. So SQL stands for structured query language. It is a standard language used to query a relational database. The SQL queries are in the form of statements. In earlier chapter, we have seen how to create a table, insert a data into it, edit and delete the data in the table. All these operations can also be done using SQL statements. So let us create a new table using the SQL statement. SQL, click on the tools menu options in the menu bar and then select the SQL option. The execute SQL statement dialog box will get open with a cursor blinking in the text box under the label command to execute. We can type the instructions to perform different operations related to the table or a query. Here, let us try to create a table name scheme that has 4 fields: scheme ID, start date, end date, and descriptions. Pay attention to quote signs, capitalizations, and syntax to avoid errors in execution of query. So type the statement so the below in the text box under the label 1. So that is a create tables scheme and then bracket scheme ID integer not null primary key. That means the first field is a primary key, that is a scheme ID. Next is a start date, that means data type is a date, ending date, and the data type is a date, and next field is a description, that means data type is a variable character and the specific size is a 25. So that is a SQL command window. And then after that, when you enter the instructions and the execute button gets highlighted. When you are finished with writing the query, click on it. This will run the return SQL command and the table would be created after a few seconds. The window will inform that the instructions have been executed. Other than that, there will be no visible output on your screen. If you now go to the view menu and click on refresh tables, a complete list to tables we have created will appear in the lower sections of your screen, including the new table recently created. Next is a drop table scheme if exits. So now click on the execute button and you will see that the scheme table is removed from the database. So we can use SQL statement to retrieve information from the table, but we need to use different window from the this purpose. To open the window, click queries icon. 3 options will appear in the top panel under the table task. Select the create query in SQL view option. This will open a dialog box with a blinking cursor as shown figure. So we can now type the required SQL statement here to retrieve the information. The SQL statement to retrieve information start with the select keyword and are also known as a SQL queries. So select star from employee. That is visible in the figure, and click on the run query button on the functions bar at the top to view the result. You will find that complete details of all the employees stored in the employee tables in the table is displayed. To save the query, click on the save button, name the query as employee details and close the window. Next topic is a select first name, last name from employee. Click on the run query button on the functions bar at the top to view the result. Observe that the result now display data for only two fields, namely first name and last name for all the employees. Notice that the query created using SQL statement is also available under the queries tab, similarly to queries created using design view. Right click on the any query and you will find an option edit in SQL view. Click it to edit the query using the SQL statement. In fact, an SQL statement for each query created as part of this chapter, either using wizard to or design view, can be viewed. For example, right click on the query customers list, select edit in SQL view, and you will find query statement seen figure. So that is a SQL statement for query design using design view. Select C code as C code, customer F name as first name, customer L name as surname, address line 1 as address line 1, address line 2 as address line 2, pin code as pin code, email ID as email address, card holder as card holder, from customer where customer last L name, that means last name, dash sa, order by first name, ASC, that means ascending order, surname is also a ascending order. The word C code, first name, surname, address line 1, address line 2, pin code, email address and card holder visible after the keyword as our alias, while the word customer after keyword from is a table name. SQL statements in figure 11.31 also including keyword where that is used to retrieve the record based on criteria. The keyword order by is used to indicate the output needs to be stored on field customer first name represented by an alias first name. The keyword ASC further mentioned that data should be stored in ascending order of a first names. So this chapter is over. Thank you.